photos, and I wait for 3 or 4 minutes before anybody comes online, and then everybody comes online, and we can get going with that. Today I'm hoping it's going to happen just a bit more quickly than that. And so I'm doing a little face-to-face to give everybody just a moment to get here. Then I'm going to transition over. Today is, well, I don't know what today is. Today is the day before Mother's Day, and I thought about doing a Mother's Day special painting, but then I thought, you know what, that's a personal kind of thing. I'm going to do my own thing for Mother's Day, and I'm going to stick with what I had planned, which is right over here. Let's get to that if I can do this properly. There it is. So tonight, if you read the title, you can see we're going to be doing a bird collage, and here are the birds I have chosen. These are birds that live in and around the area where I live, and birds that I really like. I've got some reference photos here, but firstly, let's get a few things out of the way. As you can tell, I'm using Pro Art watercolor paper, 12 by 16 inches, 140 pound. There we go. If you don't remember, this is the paper that I picked up at my local community college. It was pretty inexpensive. This tablet, this big tablet, of which there are 15 sheets, cost $9, I think, $9.50 for this one. I can't speak. What else I'm using tonight? Primarily, I'm going to be using my silver black velvet brushes. I've got the 2, 4, 6, and 8 of those. I've got a couple of extra brushes just in case I need it. If I want to do a bigger wash, whoops, I'm going to be using the Da Vinci Petit Gris Pure Squirrel Mop Brush, and these ones I don't really need, but if I'm going to be doing any lining or really fine detail, I've got a couple of Grumbacher Rigger brushes. The other two, oops, I'm sorry, were just there from earlier today while I was doing some painting. Going to be using the palette that I've been using for about maybe it's longer than that, maybe 3 weeks now. Here it is. Can I set that down there? I can set that down there. Here are the colors. I'll go through: turquoise, phthalo blue, ultramarine, cobalt blue, cerulean blue, cobalt green, phthalo green, olive green, azo green. Then I've got over here sepia, neutral, and Payne's gray. Down on the bottom, cobalt violet, maroon perylene, a permanent alizarin crimson, pyrrole red, quinacridone rose, burnt umber, azo orange, gamboge, hansa yellow, and yellow ochre. I'm going to set that off to the side. Let's see if I can find the paint cam. There it is, my card up on the top, and I think I am just about ready to get going. Sandy, hello. I just flipped over from my control center to the YouTube chat, and there it is. Hello, Sandy. Okay, so let me show you the pictures that I'm drawing from today. I've got a vulture here. Here he is. I've got a black-crowned night heron here. Here he is. I've got a cormorant way down here. Whoa, way down here in the corner. So let me fix something on my computer really quickly. There we go. Cormorant down here in the corner. You can't see him because of the paint cam. I've got an adorable little plover that's going to go up in the top corner up here. And if you've watched my watercolor painting before, I've actually used this guy to paint. Oops, a different picture. I thought I had it set right over there. But the great blue heron. So with that, let's get ready to do this. And I'm going to try to start over here and work my way that way with layers of wash, so that when I put my hand down, hopefully I'm not putting it in wet paint by working this way to that way. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. I just know how I paint. I'm going to start with my Da Vinci brush in order to do just a flat wash. And I'm going to throw in, this is going to be a little bit of yellow ochre and just a bit of this quinacridone rose that I've got here. I want to make sure I've got a nice warm color. If I look at the picture of this guy, it looks like he's got just a wee bit of red up here, maybe a bit of greenish down here, but as an underpainting, I'm going to put this on just like this, being careful to avoid his beak. That might be a bit stronger than I wanted. I'm going to pull that and just let that come down there everywhere. This is just going to be a nice underpainting. There we go. I'm not going to worry about this too much. I'm not trying to be real precise. I'm not trying to do anything in detail with this. I just want to get a few colors on this guy and call it good. Maybe a little bit of this burnt umber in the post here that he's sitting on. There we go. And we're done with him. We're moving on to the next guy. Alright, the next one is this blue heron. We've got a couple of major colors in him. Here he is. So we've got this nice, beautiful, like a pinkish color out here, a cool blue-gray in here, and then this nice, beautiful, kind of cerulean blue-gray on his back here. So let's see if we can't do a little bit of justice for that. In order to do this, I'm going to pre-wet him just a little bit. I'm hoping to paint a little bit lighter to darker, so if I go into, let me set this here while I do this. I'm hoping to paint a little bit lighter to darker, so if I go into this if I go into this feathers up there just a little bit while I'm doing his neck, it's not going to matter because that's so dark that we're going to be going right over top of that. So I'm going to take the same color that I was using here for my cormorant, and I'm just going to drop this in there. Maybe I've mixed a little additional quinacridone rose in there, but it's such a nice color. I get a little bit more of that ochre in here. Just want to vary that a little bit. There we go, and now I'm going to move into right in that same color, right, mixing it all together. A little bit of this nice Payne's gray, which is the blue gray color. And I want these all to just nice and softly mix right on his neck. In fact, down here, I think I'm going to add just a little bit of this cobalt blue, make it a bit more blue, a bit cooler even. Right down around there. I like that better. I think that is much better, much better. And this gray goes all the way up here, up and around. It warms up as it goes up. There we go. I'm not going to mess it with it any more than that, and it's basically going to be fiddling, and I don't want to fiddle with it. I want to let it do what it wants to do. I'm going to grab quite a bit of this cerulean now. And this brush will hold a ton of water, a ton of water. I'm going to put this on here. In fact, you know what I'm going to do before I do too much? I'm going to drop a little bit of, that's better, just ever so slight amount of Payne's Gray in there, just to dull it a little bit. I want to knock just a little bit of that color down. It was so bright. All right, and again, I'm just blocking in some color shapes, or some layer of color, the first layer of color here. I don't want to get too crazy with it. I don't want to get too dark with it. I think maybe I'm starting to get a bit dark here. I'm not going to go back to my pan for any more color. I think for what I need, I've got plenty of color on my brush and on the paper. If I just pull that down, I think that's going to work out great as a first wash. There we go, something like that. I didn't draw his feet. In the picture, his feet are under the weeds, and I'm not worried about it. I'm more worried about getting a layer of color on here. If we want to draw some weeds on here when we're done, we'll do that in a minute. Let's see what else. We got a black-crowned night heron here. Here he is. Let's see if I can get him on here in two places. So his body's this beautiful, really soft gray here, right in here, with a little bit of browning underneath, just this really light tan underneath, and then a dark, really dark blue. I wish I had Prussian blue. I bet Prussian blue and Payne's Gray would make a perfect color for that, but I don't have that. So I'm gonna make my own color for him. Oh man, way too much blue in there. There we go. Let's mix a little of that out. Now we've got a nice, soft, warm gray that we're working with. I need to warm that up just a bit more. So it's got just maybe even a touch of pink in it. But if we don't get it, that's fine. We can add on a little bit of pink the next go round. And again, I may have my colors just a bit strong here, so I'm not going to go back to my palette. I'm going to work with the colors that I have on here, and we'll let them work for us. I'm looking here and I'm looking here. I'm just trying to see where any of the color is that I need for this guy. And then I'm going to grab a little bit of this yellow ochre, really light yellow ochre. I'm going to put it in underneath of his eye right there. Maybe I'll go right around his eye with that. And under here, and that's going to give us a nice color for him. Oops, I went outside the lines just a little bit. As always, if anybody has any questions, please feel free to put them up there. I will answer them as I can. The one caveat I have is that it is just me in the studio, so you have to cut me a little bit of slack because it's hard to paint and run the computer and answer questions all at the same time. Sometimes it's hard enough just to paint on your own without having to do video and answer questions. But if you've got any questions, anything you want to know, throw it out there. I will do my best to answer. Or if you just have a comment, throw it out there and I'll make a comment on your comment. I did drop down an extra brush. I went from this one to this one. The size of this got a little bit smaller. I needed a little bit more control, I felt like, so I just dropped down, and this is a number 8 silver round. Silver black velvet round. Okay, for this guy, that's all I'm going to do right now. I've got some darks I need to put on. You know what, I might do a little bit extra here. I want to just darken. Let me get a little bit of this burnt umber and a little bit of this azo orange, a fairly thick mixture. And while that leg is just partially wet, I know I said I wasn't going to do any details, but I can't pass up the opportunity. There we go. This leg could be all but done for us already. Let's see. Oh, just a little dab more here. There we go. I think that leg and claw probably just about done already anyway. Okay. So I'm going to move on then to what can I find next in the pile? I can move on to this guy. I'm going to move on to this guy, who is the Vulture, and who probably gets the worst rap of all of the birds around here. Nobody likes him. All he does is scavenge food from everywhere else. People think he's kind of a dirty, gross kind of a bird, and maybe in some ways he is, but he's just playing his part in the grander scheme of things. I really kind of like them. I think they're really interesting to look at. Just these birds with this bright red head with no real feathers on it. Crazy, crazy looking bird. And then to think it doesn't want to be around anybody else. It doesn't want to bother anybody else. All it wants to do is find that little bit of food that it can find and hopefully eke out a living. I like when I climb the hills around here, oftentimes you can see them fly right over top of you. And I don't mean like over top of you like 100 feet in the air, 200 feet in the air. I mean like right over top of you, like 20 feet on top of you, which is so cool. Okay, so we're gonna have a lot of work on this guy, but I want to look on here and get what I think is the lightest value. And again, it's going to be this kind of ochre-y value. So let me start with this yellow ochre here. Just mixed in that little bit of blue, and that's fine. I'm just kind of cannibalizing what's on my palette already. Let me pull a little bit more of that raw umber out of there. I think that's going to be good. This color looks to me like maybe the highlights of what's here. But up here he's got some crazy blues and greens mixed in with those feathers. I don't know what that is really. And I don't really want to know. I hope it's just some weird patina he's got on his wings. But we're going to help him with that a little bit anyways. But again, I'm just dropping in a first layer here. And then we're going to use this as a base and come back and add all of our details on top of this. There we go, something like that. And I'm going to give him a little bit of this color up here. Where's my phthalo green? I know that phthalo green. Maybe a little bit of this phthalo blue to darken this up a little bit. I'm just going to blot in a few colors. That'll help darken that up a little bit. Plus it'll make it a little bit easier. There's a little bit of color already there when we come back to do our second layer here. So let's see, I don't know, something like that. I don't want to get too crazy with it, but I want to leave that. And that's a bright color. I think when that dries, that'll stay nice and bright. And then we have our last little guy we need to get some color onto. Where is he? There we go. The tiny little snowy plover. I think this is even a baby snowy plover. Just the tiniest little guy. Alright, I got it again, working with a gray brown. All these birds have similar colors. They all live in the same area and they hunt in the same area. Well, not this guy. At this age, this little plover would have this coloring to make him look a lot like the sand that he hides in. So this guy's not necessarily got this on him for hunting, but the others on here do. And I'm just gonna drop some colors on there. I think that's good, and I managed to get through one whole layer of everything without putting my hand or my thumb or my palm in there. Oh my Lord! Heather Crafter of the Craft Shack is here. How are you? Thank you for dropping by. Welcome, welcome. What a surprise. Back from your trip. Enjoying some nice, hopefully warm weather in Arizona. I'm just starting to put in a little bit of our color here on the chest of this guy. I'm gonna blend that out to almost nothing. There we go. And I'm gonna let that sit. I'm gonna let that dry, and I'm gonna try not to futz with it anymore, provided I can get my brush off the page there. I'm just going to do it, And I'm going to come back to our first one over here, who was our, where is he? He's our cormorant. So I've got our base color in here. Now I need to look to see what color, what other colors he's got in here that we could maybe put on top. And now I happen to know that these are really dark and they have some really nice iridescent colors on them. So I'm going to try to mix in a little bit of phthalo blue as I do this, and let's see what happens. I'm going to do this on the wings. In fact, I'm going to start by doing the body of him. We can see him here. I hope you can see him here. It's quite a bit darker than the rest of his wings, and I'm going to take a cue from that and try to drop in some dark colors. There we go. You know what? Hang on one second. Oh, Heather, thank you for saying that so much. Hello. There we go. That'll help quite a bit. I have a I got it a while ago, and it's kind of a funny thing. It's like a giant retractable arm that my camera is on. And normally I put it in one spot and kind of leave it there. And probably I shouldn't. I should take advantage of of the craziness of this reticulated arm. So let's just do it. Let's just pull it down and do it. Let's make sure. Yep, dry. There we go. Come on, little foot, you can do it. All right, and you see down here on the tail, I'm gonna put a little more color on his body here, but you can see down on his tail, down here where I have left those highlights. They come right through, and they actually look like highlights, just like they're supposed to. Amazing. I do something, and every now and again it works out exactly the way I wanted it to. But it doesn't happen that often, so I've got to revel in when it does. That's funny. All right, and I'm just going to blend that into his wing before it dries up too much. I don't want too much of a hard edge to be on there. Ooh, I'm liking it, I'm liking it. Maybe just a touch more color down here. I don't want to lose those individual feathers down there. I think I'm going to leave them like that. They're not perfect like I wanted, but before I start to fiddle too much and I lose that cool featheriness of them, I'm going to stop what I'm doing and step back for a second. Okay, oh, we got a couple of extra questions. I had a different screen in front. While I'm waiting for the, actually, hang on, I'm going to try to read those questions while I'm doing this. I don't want, again, I don't want a super hard line there, and I should say I'm having to do this a little bit extra on here, this blending, because I'm using wood pulp paper. If this were cotton paper, all cotton paper, the color would move a little bit and then it would kind of settle and stay where it's at. Wood pulp paper, for whatever reason, it kind of moves and continues to move and continues to move and continues to move, and causes a little bit of problem. Let's see. Have you ever used any duochrome colors? Heather, I have not. I don't. Duochrome colors, I think, are only from Daniel Smith, and I think I only have a couple of Daniel Smith paints in their standard paints, you know, like yellow ochre or ultramarine blue or something like that. Nothing that is duochrome. But you're right, that really could make for a cool painting, a cool bird on this bird. If you see this bird live, it like shimmers in the sun. It's such a cool thing. Let's see. Let's see. Oh yeah, use that. Oh, Heather, you have a boom too. That's great. Wait a minute. Hold on. Okay. I gotta stay. I just read you sold the Stone Bridge painting, Heather. How could you do that? For any of you who don't know, oh, it was years ago. Seems like years ago. Probably it was about a year and a half ago, I would guess. Heather and I did a collaborative video, and you can find it on my channel somewhere, or you can go to Heather's channel, The Craft Shack, here on YouTube, and find it. If when I'm done with this I remember to do it, I will put a link into it for anybody who wants to see it. But we did a we did a collaborative video. I almost said a collaborative painting. It wasn't a collaborative painting, in which we chose to paint, and I think it was a little cottage next to a bridge, and I did half of it on my video and sent half of the video to Heather, and Heather did half of her video and sent me half of the video. Anyway, it turned out to be a great experience for me. I hope it turned out to be a good experience for Heather. I learned a lot about YouTube while doing that, mostly from talking to Heather every couple of days and going, how do you do this? How do I do that? I've never done this before. I don't know what's going on with that. And she basically held my hand through a lot of things. I should say, while I'm rambling on, I'm just putting in some, I want to get a couple of feathers down here at the bottom, but I need to get some more just color in here before we can come back. I should have this over here, I think, before I can come back and do more with this wing. And I'm going to do the same thing with, oh, see, now I'm too close. You can't see anything. Let's see. There. I'm going to do the same thing with this wing over here, too. Just drop in some colors where it's darkest. I want it to be darkest, even though the colors are going to get drug out quite a bit. And where it's lightest, obviously I want it to be a bit lighter. I'm going to draw in some of the lines between these feathers. Maybe not quite all of them, but a few of them. Get a little bit of my yellow ochre and a little bit of my burnt umber, a bit more burnt umber than I've got there. And bring these colors down. I'm a little concerned that this bird, because I made that body so crazy, that I'm going to lose a little bit of that cool coloriousness. But I think we'll be able to find it in the next layer. I'm going to get right up close to this guy. There we go. And then that wing, the color of that wing just blends right on down into the rest of the body. Shirley, oh, you gotta go. Thank you for stopping by, Shirley. Hope you can stop back next week also. There we go. Okay, before I fiddle too much with this wing, I'm going to stop on that wing, and I don't want to do the head because it touches the wing, and I don't want the water to run right there, so I'm going to move back to this guy. This guy here. Here he is. Oh, I can back this out a little bit. I'm trying to juggle all kinds of stuff here. Let's see. Zoop. There we go. I think you guys can see that. I think that'll be okay. All right, so what I want to do here, I want to darken up a bit here. And this is what I like to do best. This is where I think, really, if you had to ask me what I did best in watercolor, other people would probably have different answers, but I like blending colors. So I'm going to put a little bit of this color in here. Right like that. I've got a dark spot right in here. Before I do anything else, I'm going to start to blend this out just a bit, and that's going to end up being that kind of dark hollow in his neck right there. Let's see, and this is where I need to really pay attention, because now that I have to jimmy around where I'm at a little bit, I've got to watch that I don't put my hand down here now. There we go. We just added this little dark bit into his neck there. Make it look like it bends, maybe a little bit more than it does. I've got one that's maybe not quite as drastic right up here. I'm not using quite the same color of gray. I want that to come out something like that. And I'm going to put a little bit right over here too. Here we go. Here we go. So I remember I was making videos. This was, I'll tell a quick story while I'm doing this. God, I don't know how long ago it was. It was not long after I started doing videos. And I wouldn't say I'm a great public speaker by any stretch. I've never really taken any courses in public speaking, but I was doing a video, just minding my own business while I was painting a video, and I guess I said, and here we go, a number of times, maybe one too many times, as it turned out, because somebody in the comments just roasted me, saying I wanted to watch a watercolor video, not somebody just saying, here you go, 100 times. I didn't know what to say. I didn't even realize I was saying it, and now I think every time I do say it, I almost laugh to myself, because it was a little, it wasn't traumatic, but it was a bit shocking, to say the least, that here I'm trying my hardest to do a good video, and I'm nervous about making the video, and I don't know what to do, and all of a sudden somebody says, well, you're just saying, I don't know, 100 times. Anyway, it was fine. I quickly got over it. I'm not worried about it. It was funny. Still is funny. All right, I'm just adding a couple of lines onto this guy's head to add a little bit of color. I know I haven't touched his beak yet. We will. I'm looking at the clock right now. It says 8:41. We're going to go for a little while longer. And like I said, we're going to not go over an hour. Tonight we will pick it all up next week. I promise not to paint on this painting and pick it up the way it is when we stop it. Uh-oh, what happened here? Oh, no, wait a minute. I need to pay my wife $1 each time I say it. Oh, I would be broke. She's got all my money anyways. No. That would be funny. I think she'd vote for that. I think she would totally go for that. Okay, so now I've done a little bit of blending. Let's take a look at this neck. I think we're getting where we want to go. Take a look at that. We've got a lot of texture, and you can totally look at that and go, that looks like there's angles and movement right on that neck. Hopefully it's something like that. I'm not trying to copy this, but hopefully it looks something like that. And something nice. There we go. And as I'm looking at our cormorant down here, I'm not going to touch him because he's still just a tad wet, but I really like the way, I'm so glad I blended the color from his back out and for the color from his wing down. It's got this nice natural transition right here now, and I think when we come back with a finishing layer on here, we can really tie these two together. But I love the way that that has transitioned into that. All right, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to this guy up here. How do I do this? You guys who are watching, what I really should do, I'm going to stop for a second. What I really should do is have a camera just on me so you can see me try to adjust the paper. Plus, I've got to flip screens on the computer, bring one window forward and push one window back so I can see what happens as I'm doing it, so that when it gets to you, it looks okay. Oh my Lord, I need another arm is what I really need, which would be funny in and of itself. Okay, enough about that. What I'm going to do, I'm going to find my gray color. I'm going to remix my gray. It was a warmish, pinkish gray color here. I'm just right in the puddle that I have here. I just make this a nice pinkish gray, and I am going to start defining the body of this bird. And if I look here, let's see, I want to do this. I'm trying to spend more time looking at what I'm painting. Even though I'm not really trying to copy it, I want to look at it and see how it's put together. So what I see is a line here where this part of his wing is differentiated from the other part. So I want to try to put in that little line. I think it goes like that, and then I'm going to pull that out, and I'm going to make that whole wing just a bit darker. And then I've, in essence, just added on this little bit onto him without doing a whole lot of anything. The other thing I want to do, while I've still got a couple of minutes, is, come on, give me, where's my color? I'll take that. That's good. Is I want to make this a bit darker in places to make it look as though that these feathers on the top are going to stand out just a little bit. And I want to, before that dries, I don't have a whole lot of time. It's super hot in the studio and super dry. It's always dry here. Oh boy. Now I'm in trouble. I don't know that I can get it quite. It looks like it's set just a bit more. Actually, maybe it's coming off. Just give it a gentle scrub. I should have just wet the whole thing before I did this and let the paper do all this for me, but that's okay. It does look like there's a line there now, right? If we look at this one, maybe it almost looks like that. This part of the wing, well, I'm not sure of what he's got. 3 wings here. I'm not sure how this bird has 3 wings on each side, but it does look like there's a little line of differentiation up there. So I want to make sure I keep that. And maybe I'll give him just a touch of something all the way up here, just to let that line continue all the way up and under his eye. I think that's good. That looks nice to me. That looks really nice to me. And while I've got you guys here, and while I'm futzing around with that color, I'm going to try the same thing right underneath here. Let's see if I can pull some of that down. I just want to add a bit of color because I want to leave this part in the middle really light. And if I leave that light, I've got to darken up something else or the whole bird just kind of disappears. So I think if I darken that up a little bit, that it's going to get a little bit better. No, okay, all right, wait a minute. I just looked at the chat. Everybody, relax. It's just a wing. It's a wing. It's a wing. All right, nobody go there. Okay. All right. And since we don't have a whole lot of time left, I'm going to leave that guy here. I'm going to come and do something very similar to our little plover, who is so adorable here. I'm going to start building up some colors on him. He's got that little bit of black here. This whole area starts out really dark, whoops, and then lightens a little bit. I think that is a good representation of that. And while I've got this color out, I'm just mixing a little bit of this neutral tint in with some of this Payne's gray. I'm going to give his beak a little bit of color really quickly. I really don't want it to be super dark yet. We'll get there. There we go. You know, he's got a couple of little things here. All right, and see, now I can already tell you, this is what I don't want to do. I gotta catch myself. I shouldn't have put the beak in, because then I went, well, no, oh, I can put this in. I want to put that in up here. Well, and if I can put a little feather mark in there, well, then I can put another feather mark in here. And that's how it all starts. That's it. What I want, I'm trying to focus on bigger things first. The smaller things will all take care of themselves. But we got to get the bigger bits in first. And this is just a bit more of the shading on the bottom of this bird. Again, it's that sandy ochre color. If I had my whole bind set of paints, I would call it yellow gray. I don't know if anybody out there, does anybody use, the plover looks like he has a toupee. That's great. Does anybody use Holbein paints out there? Actually, really, you know, I bought them just to try them out, and I have to say I like them, and I put them away. I don't know why I got them out last week just to play with them, and again I was pretty impressed with them, and then I put them away again, obviously, because I'm not using them right now. But if I were pressed to ask why I don't use them more often, I don't know. He's got Elvis sideburns. Interesting. I was going to make a comment. I don't even know what kind of a comment to make. He's not a hound dog. I could paint some blue suede shoes on him. How would that be? That'd be funny. And we've got only a few minutes left. I think what I want to do, he's still a little wet. He's still a little wet. I'm going to get a head start. Well, where's the one I'm looking for? On this guy over here. Let's see. Check out Daniel Smith's new 8 gray color. Oh, you know what I saw? Daniel Smith had a bunch of grays, new grays. I might have to try them out. Paints still feel good enough to warrant more expensive paints. Surely, you know what? If you're using a good student quality paint, so many of them anymore are so good. I'm not even kidding. There are lots of the student paints that are fantastic now. Don't feel like you have to rush into professional paints if you don't want to, if you're not comfortable with it. Like I said, there's so many of the student paints that are very, very good. The Da Vinci paints, the Cotman paints. Who else makes some really good student paints? God, I just used some the other day. But the professional paints are expensive for sure. No doubt about it. The big thing you get in the professional paints that you don't get in the student grade paints are, yes, you get more pigment per load, but that's not really it. What you get more than that is that you get the pure pigment in whatever it is, whatever color you have. So that you know if you're getting ultramarine blue, your ultramarine blue is probably going to be pigment PB, which stands for pigment blue, 29 every time. Every time. There's not going to be anything to think about. The pigment blue from each manufacturer might be slightly different, but if it's a one pigment color, they're probably all going to be the same. So I used them for quite a while before I switched over. Paper is much more important. Get a better paper is much more important than the paint that you're using anyways. So if you have to spend the money on something, spend a little bit more on the paper than on the paints. Brushes are pretty inexpensive. You can get a really good set of brushes fairly inexpensively, and the brushes can be used for such a long period of time that you don't feel as bad buying a bit of a more expensive brush anyways. Shirley V, subscribe to the Craft Shack page. Sweet. I am a subscriber also. I did not, Heather, if you're still there, are you there? Heather, I did not watch your latest video, but I will watch it tomorrow morning. And I do want to know what happened to the RV. Maybe I missed something, I don't know. Which is entirely possible. But I think I missed, I saw the family on the ride home, but, oh, you already subscribed to me? That's great. That's always a positive. I do like that. This feather's a little yellow. I don't think with this guy it's going to matter a whole lot. Anyways, I'm just painting in feathers here. At the beginning of the video, I said I wasn't going to go over an hour. I was trying for between 45 minutes and an hour. We've now reached the 1 hour mark. We're getting a handle on, or I'm getting a handle on where we're at. I'm going to stop what I'm doing right now and do a little assessment on where we are. Let me wash my brush out really good. Take a look, make sure everything is on one page. Oh no, Heather. Oh, I feel so badly. You notice the intensity of student paints when you get into pouring paints. I've never done pouring. Okay, anyways. So what I want to look at, I want to take a second to look at where we're at with this. I like my cormorant here. And I should say also, a last call for questions for me. If anybody has any while I'm doing this, when I'm done with this, I'll answer any questions quickly, and then we'll just put it away for next week. I like the cormorant here. Like I said, I love this transition. I need to bring in a few darks here along the wings to match his body and on his head here. And I think he's going to turn out real nicely. Maybe a little help on his board down here. The Heron, I love this transition. All of the colors, it looks like we've got 1, 2, I don't know, 5, 6 different colors we've got in his neck. And it's a beautiful blend here. We'll get some nice cerulean in here, darken up his shoulder. Some nice yellows and blacks on his beak and his crown here. I was a little dubious. I'm still a little dubious about our line underneath the wing here. It didn't quite turn out like I wanted. We're going to have to fix that next week. But I like the direction he's going. I love the darker color up here to lighter and then darker down here with still darker underneath. And I'm glad I went ahead and did his leg and talons all at once. I think that's going to pay dividends in the end. Little Elvis here, I think, is coming along. We'll do some marks on his wing up here. Not too much. I think the biggest thing for this guy is going to be his eye. Getting his eye in properly, and once his eye gets in there, I think he's going to pop to life. I really do. But a couple of detail lines here, not too many. And our friend the Vulture, my friend the Vulture here, I think we have the most work to do. He looks a bit of a mess here right now. I'm okay with that. I think what I'm going to do with him, continue to paint individual wings down here. until I get up to this part. Then I'll darken the whole thing and put a wash over, which should help to blend in some of these wingtips together. And of course, quite a few details on his head. That's where I'm at with that. I think that's doable next week if we did this in one more session. Let me get a few questions here. Let's see. Woo, where am I at? I gotta see. Watercolor pouring is a thing. It's awesome. Of course, if it's a thing and if it's awesome, of course, Heather Crafter knows about it, and she's probably got 8 videos about it. Of course she does, because she is on top of it. Looks great. Thank you, Shirley. Thank you, Marty. Millie, what paper do I recommend? I would actually, if I had my druthers, I would buy probably Arches paper. Hang on one second. I think I've got some somewhere. Here we go. Looks a lot like this in a pad. This one is not glued. It's just sheets glued into a pad. You can buy blocks that are glued all the way around. But this is probably, I don't know, close to 20 bucks, 18 bucks on Amazon. So it is fairly expensive. It's by far not the most expensive paper out there. Paper is outrageous. But when you paint on it, it really is a sublime surface to work on. You can totally work on wood pulp paper like this. The only difference is you've got to stay and spend a little bit more time in each area, because the water and the paint will run across your paper more fully. It's not really the best way to say it, but you've got to stay on top of it, because it'll totally smooth out, and you've got to finesse it a little bit more to work on wood pulp paper, but it is so much more affordable. Let's see. Midnight for me. Midnights, that means you surely are on the East Coast, I'm guessing. Yeah, it's got to be somewhere around there. Laura, your question is, since I'm seldom here at the beginning, do you do the drawings? I do not. So it's been a while since I've done a live drawing. What I do, I'll show you, is I will go and print out a number of pictures, and then I'll bring them home. I'll draw them like this. There we go. Whoop, somewhere like this on a piece of paper. Then I clip them together like this. And when I am ready to paint, I just pull this out and start painting. So now you've seen a sea turtle, you know something that I'll be painting in the near future. I've done that for this book. I've done that for other books. I have pages that have clips on them all over the place. Typically, I will draw everything on a Monday, so I might do 4, 5, 6, 7 drawings on a Monday, and then just let them sit for the week or something. 2 weeks, I don't know. Some have been here for a while, but eventually I've got a stack that I can just pick from and go ahead and draw it. So no, this was pre-drawn. I did not do it at the beginning of this. Will you include the drawing in a link? I don't think I can, because this is the only drawing I have. I didn't do a drawing to hand out or to send out or take a picture of it to post anywhere. So unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that. And that's all I've got, Shirley. I'm glad you're in Ohio. I grew up in Ohio. Fantastic place. I hope to get back there sometime soon to see my family, which is still back there. I hope spring has finally come for you back there. Anyways, that's it for me tonight. Thank you for stopping by the studio. We will see you all back here next week. Subscribe if you like this. Give a thumbs up, a like on the channel. And that's all I've got for you tonight. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.